Hello, everyone, and welcome to Realistic Realtors with Superior Coaching School. I'm Bill, and this is Nick. And what's different about our approach, we like to keep it real, guys. We're all about action, getting realtors to take action into their business. So today, you're going to learn steps that you can take right away that'll make a difference in your business. And today's lesson with success planning is converting leads. And the guy next to me is the expert at it. So Nick, take us off with, how do we become good at converting leads as realtors?
Well, Bill, there's a couple of different ways that you want to convert leads, but again, we want to keep in mind that you have to use both old school methods and new school approaches, and I think it's key to blend those in today's market because that's how you're going to be successful. So I want to start today when we're talking about converting leads and lead conversion in general with a quote from Jeff Eisenberg. He says, "It's much easier to double your business by doubling your conversion rate than by doubling your traffic." And what he means by that is that it's better to become more efficient. It's easier to become more efficient with your lead conversion than to bring twice as many people to see your website or to see your marketing and have the same conversion. And I think this really gets back to what we're going to talk about today, which is let's make our conversion effective. Let's not focus on the quantity, but the quality, right?
Sure.
And so let's start up with, again, the idea that follow-up is everything, guys, right? I mean, how often do we hear the 80-20 rule in real estate? How closely related is that to the follow-up rule, right? Which is that the agents that follow up get the business.
Yeah.
I mean, right? I mean, it's that simple. It really can be that simple. And so what you need to realize is that calling and texting are the highest and most effective means of follow-up. So few realtors realize that email as your only method of communication is not the way to go, right? And so we need to see that, research basically shows that when you text and call versus only email, you get a 98% higher response rate, 98%. Now, Bill, how many realtors do we know out there only email their clients?
Only email, and that's such a big mistake because you're taking out the opportunity to create a warm and fuzzy relationship, right? With the phone call, you get a banter back and forth because people like to hear themselves speak, right? So if you call someone, you have to be a good listener. Okay, that will help you convert the lead. A lot of realtors out there, it's easier to email, it's quicker, right? And some realtors are afraid to pick up the phone call. That phone call, that verbal commitment is so important in building that relationship.
Yeah, again, so I don't think anybody's made a deal, sold a home, without getting on the phone with somebody at this point, right?
Multiple times.
Exactly. And so that's where we see, the statistics basically show, the data says, look, you have to follow up with these people many times. So again, we're looking at National Sales Executive Association, who basically ran pulled data on a group of consumers, not just in real estate, but across all sales. And what they found is that 80% of all sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. And over 75% are on the 8th or more. So you need to be connecting with these people many times.
That's such a great point because someone on our real estate team, Nick, I asked him, I said, how's it going? You told me about that lead last week and you had a conversation. And he said, well, I haven't heard from him in a week. I said, you haven't heard from him? I was like, have you texted him, email him, or call him? No, well, we had a conversation. I thought they'd call me back. I was like, oh my God, it's up to you to reach out. It's up to you to nurture and build that relationship.
Yeah.
You just can't wait for them because if you're waiting for them to come to you, then any type of sales is not your future.
Yeah, so that was one of the first things you want to explain to your team, and when you're creating your systems, have the system in place, have the scripts in place. Use the scripts and training that we've shown you and that are in this program to use on every single follow-up approach. I mean, We've laid this out for you guys. So what you need to realize is that the key to making all the money in real estate is in the follow-up.
And, Nick brought up a great slide here that you guys are looking at. 2% of sales are made on the first contact, 2%. 3% are made on the second, 5% on the third. Guys, 80% of sales are made on the, 10th contact, and that's what you have to realize. You have to have the fortitude to keep going forward and reaching out to these people, and they don't do it.
Yeah, and what's important to note is that a lot of leads, a lot of especially nowadays, everybody's browsing online. So we get tons of leads. There were 5 times as many leads generated last year as transactions in real estate. Okay, so you get a lot of people looking and browsing, and not everybody buys. And not everybody buys when you want them to buy. We all want them to buy right away, don't we? Right?
But they
Let's list right
eventually
away.
will buy if your follow-up's good enough. And that's
Exactly.
what we have to remember. Like I said earlier, Nick, I'd rather have someone say, you're bugging me, stop calling me. I get hired so much because you didn't stop. You were persistent. You kept calling me. I'm fine with that. You know, I've been told no plenty of times, and I get it. It doesn't bother me at all. You got to keep following up.
Yeah, you have to keep following up, and you have to realize that even after, a month, 2 months go by, a year goes by, don't give up on these leads. That is your bread and butter to build on for the next 6 months, the next 12 months, right?
Sure.
So your database, let's talk a little bit about that, working your database, right? If you have a bunch of leads in your database, and these might be sphere, you might have cold leads, people that are just browsing, people that you spoke with a year ago and haven't gotten any response since, why shouldn't we give up on those leads? Well,
They're our future business.
future business, right?
You know.
And if someone wasn't ready last year, that doesn't mean they're not ready now. Actually, it means they could be ready now.
You know, Nick, that's a great point. Think about how hard it is to actually contact a lead and we have a conversation with that lead. Do you want to start all over again, or do you want to keep pursuing that lead, keep nurturing that lead, build a relationship, and close that lead? I mean, that's really important, like you said from that quote earlier, right? It's a lot easier to be more successful with 10 leads and do a good job nurturing than try and have 100 in your email and nurture all 100.
So again, let's keep it real. Let's talk about action. What are some steps that we can take, right? And following up and converting these leads. We need to be using a CRM. Guys, if you're not using a CRM out there to consistently track every touch that you have with your leads, you are getting further and further behind in real estate. You are losing business. I'll say it right now, straight up. You guys are losing business.
Yeah.
If you're not using a CRM actively every day. 20 years ago is, man, we got to check our email twice a day, right? Once in the morning, once at night. Now it's, you need to be checking your CRM every single day. Seeing who is looking at homes, who has followed up, who's responded to an email or a text or maybe a drip campaign that you've created out there. Whatever your follow-up system is put in place, keep to it and make sure you track it. So if you tell a lead, you say to somebody, I'm going to call you next Tuesday at 3 o'clock. It better be on your calendar, it better be in your CRM, and you better be making a phone call next Tuesday at 3.
What CRM would you suggest some people
Well,
look at?
There's so many CRMs out there, but I'll say this to you guys. The best CRM is the one you use the most. There's a lot of CRMs out there that are great. I think, again, each CRM is good for what it does. I think the cost plays a big part in that. So if you aren't looking to spend a lot of money on your own system, look at a company or a firm that offers a really awesome CRM at a great price, something like that. But again, I think I come back to this more than anything. If you're not using one, or if you're not using it consistently, you're losing business.
What's the number one benefit of a CRM compared to old school where I keep a notebook?
Well, here's the benefit of it. It doesn't forget anything, right?
You try to say I forget stuff.
Well, here's what I'll say. You can lose a piece of paper. If you lose your laptop, you're in bigger trouble
Sure.
Than just losing your CRM, right?
Yep.
But if you have your business online, everything's saved online, what you can do is you can access the power of drip campaigns, okay? You can have follow-ups that go out. Now, I'm not the biggest proponent of a drip campaign. I want to be as personable as I can be. But what that does is that if you are out of the office, if you are with a client, if you are on vacation, you have the peace of mind to know that, okay, any new lead that comes into my database is automatically going to get a message from me, right from the system that follows up and lets them know that I'm here, where they can find me, and asks them the question. You want every message but from the time you have a new lead, whether it comes from online, from a sponsorship that you do at an event somewhere, from the time that you meet them to the time you close, almost every single touch, you want to end with a question. And don't make it an open-ended question. Make it a closed-ended question. Make sure they have to give you a response. So an example of that, right? Don't say, what day works for you to go see 123 Main Street in person? Say, I'm available to go see 123 Main Street on Monday and Tuesday. Which would work for you? they have to answer that question. If they say, what day works for you? Oh, no, I'm busy.
Put it back on them.
Put it back on them.
Make them respond. And guess what, Nick? If we're contacting our leads, and don't worry about contacting them too much, because the real buyers, the real clients out there, they want this pampering. They want the guidance. They want the touches.
Yeah.
So you can't, use a CRM that touches your clients a lot. The real buyers are the ones we want to do business with are going to want it.
Exactly. And a great way to incorporate what you just brought up, which is that, self-qualifying leads, so to speak, right? You have a lead that comes in and they can be cold. You want to know, who are you? What are you looking to do? And you want to get that across very quickly, right?
Sure.
Are you serious? And so that should be one of the first questions you ask. Now, really what you're looking to evaluate is there's only two types of people out there. There are renters and buyers, okay? And the reason why I say that, if you think about it, if somebody owns a home and then they are looking to move, well, that seller is actually a buyer, right? Because they have to buy, and they're gonna probably sell their house, and so they own currently. And then you have people who rent, who are gonna maybe be looking to buy and get into their first home. So now they're a first-time home buyer, right? So you really want to qualify that initially. And so if you ask in one of your first initial messages or touches and say, "Are you renting or do you currently own?" That helps you immediately qualify. Okay, they're not renting. They probably have a little bit better credit.
Sure.
They own a home. Do you need to sell to buy? Why are you looking to sell and buy? Yeah, that's one of the first questions. Now, what you want to do is, we always say, you want to call, text, and email all at the same time. Now, the importance of that, right, is because
and the order that you said it, call, text, and email. So times have changed. Years ago, it was an email, right? People don't check their emails a lot till they get it home. But like Nick said, call, build a personal relationship. If you don't get them, text, because everyone will check a text before an email.
And you know what's important, what you just brought up? If you call and you do not get them, leave a voicemail, but then reference that in your text message, in your email. Shoot them a text and say, "I just left you a message. Get back to me." And then again, follow up with a question. Were you able to see the homes 123 Main Street, or this other home that I sent you? Right. Give them something to respond to, and reference that you also just left a message, because they most likely will not have your number saved, and so you want to let them know, hey, that was me that just called, and you'll find that a lot of people will call you right back.
So Nick, we went over a lot of good stuff with converting leads. Why don't you take like 30 seconds and just give a quick review of what we went over today to everyone?
Well, what we first discussed really is it's so important. Follow-up is everything. And how many times you follow up is the key. You gotta follow up more. And that's so big that, again, the 80% of realtors that don't make it in this business, it's because they don't follow up. It's because we don't make phone calls. And they don't even text.
Right.
They just do it all by email because it's the easy approach. Have a system in place. Have a CRM in place that you use. You can't get by with just writing everything down because it can be lost. You can get disorganized. Make sure you have a CRM to track every touch that's going out. And then finally, you want to make sure that you are combining these different approaches, calling, texting, emailing, build them into a campaign, and make sure that you are taking that approach and applying it to every single lead that comes in your system. Have a systematic approach. Use some of the systems that we've explained and we have in our program. And you know what? Take it from not just us, but from our amazing, amazing guest this week. So we have Abe Ayola. He's our interview this week. And Abe has 30 plus years of sales experience.
Discipline.
He's a disciplined guy. And what you'll hear from Abe, again, is everything that we're giving to you in terms of system. And he's going to show you the scripts, the things that he does to basically convert these leads and make a relationship and make people want to come back and work with you.
Yeah, I think with Abe, what you're going to find out, he is a very disciplined individual. He is great with first contact and then with the follow-up. And like Nick said, you'll see what CRM system he uses, and just combine what Nick said, the call, the text, and email.
Yeah, and that first impression is so key. So listen to that and what Abe, because he goes into detail on that. And we're really excited for you guys to see that. So that's it for lead conversion, and we'll see you on the next video.
See you next week, guys.